What if I told you you're only a few science-based habits away from a ripped body? But if you're juggling a busy lifestyle with work and family priorities, you may feel like the days of being lean, fit and healthy are over, with that nagging voice in your head telling you you're too old now, you're too busy, it's too hard, you'll never be ripped, fit and healthy like you were in your 20s. I get it. For most of my life, I was stuck in a skinny but fat shape. I hated how my body looked, and my dream of looking in the mirror and seeing a ripped physique was only a dream. Until I learned these 6 science-based habits. And after coaching men for 7 years, I've discovered that busy men who struggle to maintain a ripped physique lack most or all of these habits I'm going to share with you. And this first habit is crucial because it helps keep us focused on every single habit I'm going to explain to you in this video.
First of all, just think about this. Where focus goes, energy flows. Where focus goes, energy flows.
Tony Robbins is right, because every morning we check our emails, we check our social media, our bank account, our calendar, etc. Every day we're keeping track of these important things that we care about in our life, because if we don't, problems may arise. But what habit could help you stay focused and on track long term to shed the fat and maintain a ripped body? Now, this is probably the most hated thing to do, but it works. Because in this study, 51% of the participants who weighed themselves every day over 6 months lost significantly more weight compared to the groups who did not, which also led to greater adoption of weight control behaviors like eating healthier meals and being more active. This is why I get my clients to weigh themselves every day in my program. And we do this using a biometric scale, so it gives us charts like this. You can see on this chart, overall it's trending down, but there is these day-to-day fluctuations, but they do not matter. What really matters is your weekly average. The weekly average is like Google Maps showing you whether you're going in the right direction or if you're not. And here's the bonus. Every time you step on the scale, you are building the habit of awareness, focus, and discipline to make better choices in the day ahead. A body weight scale that works really well for my clients is the Renpho biometric scale. You can get this on Amazon. And it's really cool because it gives you a whole bunch of metrics inside of an app with trend lines, and it makes it fun. It's kind of like a game. And then when you zoom out and you look at those metrics, you can see just how far you've come, and it's motivating to keep progressing and keep going. This next habit is the fastest way to boost your metabolism, and it's got nothing to do with going to the gym more often. So every day we have an opportunity to add mini boosts to our metabolism throughout the entire day. And in this 18-month study, the results showed that individuals who achieved a 10% or greater weight loss were engaging in approximately 10,000 total steps per day. Now, the reason steps are so important is because the more steps we get, the more our metabolism burns energy. And every 1,000 steps we get is an extra 40 to 50 calories added on to our total metabolic rate for the day. So we want to build this habit of getting these little extra mini boosts, metabolic boosts throughout the day. And here's how you can do that. Just doing simple activities like taking the stairs, parking further away, not eating lunch until you've done a 5 or 10 minute walk, using a Bluetooth headset to take calls while standing or walking around the office, going to meet with people instead of chatting with them on the phone or over Zoom, using a standing desk, walking around the gym in between your rest breaks, or even training at home is fine. Getting a small treadmill in your office or at home, taking the dog for a walk, taking the kids to the park. There's so many different ways you can get more steps throughout the day. What matters is that you just get up frequently and move around, and over the entire day, this will accumulate more steps. And as a result, you'll be burning more energy, which increases your metabolism for the day. But the key is not to try and do 10,000 steps in one hit. Not only is that time consuming, it can be a little bit energy draining and make us feel more hungry if we compress a lot of exercise in a short amount of time. So instead, let it accumulate over the whole day, and you'll be surprised just how many more steps you can get if you just focus on getting up and moving around. And the benefit is the more consistent your steps are, the more consistent your metabolic rate is, making the body weight scale more predictable for weight loss. However, you could get 20,000 steps a day and still not lose weight if you don't nail this next habit. If you've ever felt like your body shape and weight follows the seasons, meaning you get a little bit bigger in winter, a bit slimmer in summer, well, I'm going to explain why that happens. So when I learned this habit, I finally started seeing my body get leaner. I finally felt like I had control over my body, which is why I teach this to every single client I work with. For example, in this study, they measured 3 groups of participants over 49 weeks. The first group were named rare trackers. That means they tracked less than 33% of the days in the study. Then we had the second group, the inconsistent trackers, who only tracked between 33 to 66% of the days throughout the study. Then we had the consistent trackers who tracked over 66% of the days in this study. So what did they actually track? Well, their food, mainly. But the authors of this study revealed an interesting pattern. They discovered that the inconsistent trackers were the ones who would lose weight over summer, but then regain it in the winter. Their weight was unstable and they would regain the weight during holiday seasons and periods. But those who consistently tracked their calories did not gain any weight throughout the holiday period. That's an important clue. And the consistent trackers also revealed a very consistent and linear trend line with their weight loss, which means they avoided the dreaded yo-yo weight gain and loss cycles that a lot of busy guys get stuck in for decades. But here's the problem. Most guys hate tracking calories. But that's only because they've never done it properly or for long enough to really see and harness the power of doing it correctly. So the best way to think about tracking calories is like tracking a budget. Once my client James understood this concept, he loved it. He said to me, every day I get to wake up with a new budget of calories to spend on the foods that I want to eat. And it never occurred to him in 50 years that this is actually how it works, which had an amazing impact on his nutrition and his ability to drop over 13 kilos in 6 months.
Hey, this is the best thing about it. The next day you start from zero, like you've got a whole budget again. It's like this never-ending bank account that keeps filling up.
And by tracking a budget of calories, you can then plan ahead for meals, which means you get to enjoy family dinners. You can have a beer if you really want, have a dessert. If it fits your budget, you can have it. So I would never tell you to completely restrict any food group out of your diet, because I don't do that and my clients don't do that either. And every time I've tried to restrict foods from my own diet, I only crave them more, which makes it harder to stick to. So it's just not a productive way of losing weight long term. With that said, there is one thing that will crush our calorie budget if we don't establish this next healthy habit. So in this particular study published in 2018, the authors discovered that the individuals who regularly slept less than 7 hours per night were more likely to have a higher average body mass index, also known as BMI, which basically just means more body fat on their frame. And this is because of the side effects of sleep deprivation. Let me explain. When we are sleep deprived, our hunger hormone known as ghrelin increases in the body, meaning that we're going to feel more hungry in general and want to snack more and go for seconds or even thirds. Another side effect is increased salt retention and inflammation, which can lead to water retention, making the scale look more inflated than it actually is. Another side effect is decreased leptin, which is our satiety hormone that helps us feel full, basically regulates our hunger. And another side effect is decreased insulin sensitivity, also called insulin resistance, which just means the body's in a state where it will prioritize storing glucose as fat instead of using it for energy. And let's not forget about stress. We all feel more stressed when we're tired, and that also makes it easier to stress eat and just overeat in general without really paying attention to it. Stress eating is a bad habit. We want to get rid of that one and replace it with healthy habits. So, all that to say, sleeping less makes it more difficult to lose body fat and weight long term, but also easier to gain it. And that's not the only issue, because another study published in 2023 discovered that when sleep quality goes from good to poor, it declines, and there's a reduced duration of sleep, skeletal muscle also decreases. This is bad because as we age, we naturally lose muscle, and if we sleep less, we're going to lose even more, which harms our metabolism, making it easier to gain body fat and harder to lose it. So the habit we really want to focus on here is sleeping at least 7 hours or more per night. And here's a few ways to help you do that. Preferably sleeping in a very dark, if not pitch black room that is cool, very quiet, and not having any interruptions. Our body loves its circadian rhythm. which means going to bed in the same 30-minute window and waking up in the same 30-minute window, preferably 7.5 to 8 hours apart, is the optimal routine and sleep habit. Now, I know for men with plenty of kids and crazy stuff going on, it's not always possible to get perfect sleep every night. I get that. But we have to do the best we can with what we have. And sometimes that means maybe you just have to have a 20, 30, 45 minute power nap sometimes throughout the day, or maybe catch up on the weekend when you have a bit more time. You know, we don't like to start our day with our phone on 20% battery. So why should we start the day with our body on 20% battery? But on the flip side, that doesn't mean sleeping 10 hours a day will automatically make us ripped and muscular. But this next habit is the key to that. Have you ever heard of this insidious disease called sarcopenia? It's basically defined as age-related muscle loss, and it commonly impacts people and men after the age of 40. Less muscle is bad, not just for strength and mobility reasons, but having less muscle increases our risk of metabolic disease as well as impaired mobility and injuries long term. And the worst part is, if we drop a lot of body fat without muscle, we're just going to end up skinny and bony, and no man wants to look skinny and bony. So every kilo and pound of muscle that we build and maintain raises our metabolic baseline, also known as BMR, which stands for basal metabolic rate. And that means we can burn more energy and more fat even on rest days by having more muscle. But how can you build more muscle if you can't work out 5 to 6 days a week? Well, there is a simpler way. This study from the American Physiological Society revealed interesting data on this. There were 3 groups of participants. The first group was aerobic training only, otherwise known as cardio, and they averaged 133 minutes per week at a 65 to 80% intensity. That's just over 2 hours of cardio a week. That's nothing. Then there was group 2, resistance training only, 3 workouts a week. Only 3. And the third group was aerobic and resistance, so 3 workouts and 133 minutes of cardio. The authors concluded that the aerobic cardio group lost the most amount of body weight, which kind of makes it sound like aerobic training is the best method for weight loss. However, the DEXA scan said otherwise, because the aerobic group actually lost muscle throughout this study. And that's bad. We don't want to lose muscle. The natural aging process is already fighting us to lose muscle. We don't want to lose any more of it. And compare that to the resistance and the aerobic plus resistance group. Those 2 groups actually gained muscle throughout this study while losing body fat. So this is important because guys who often lose weight like really quick also lose muscle really quick. They just don't realize it because they're not doing the body scans to see the data to prove they're losing fat and they're losing muscle. And this is because they're not doing proper workouts. But when it comes to workouts, have you ever felt like you're just in the gym or just kind of going through the motions and not really seeing and feeling the results? Kind of aimlessly lifting weights. Could be like chest Mondays, arm Tuesdays, leg Wednesdays, that kind of bro split old school style, which may have worked years ago, but it's not working now. Well, like the study said, 3 workouts a week is all you need to build muscle while losing body fat. And the best way to approach these 3 workouts is like leveling up in a video game. And that means using the progressive overload principle, which basically means just to gradually increase your workout intensity over a long term, like over 3, 6 to 12 months. So what you're doing in month 1 should be far less than what you're doing in month 12. For example, if you did 20 pounds for 20 reps this week, next week you can go for 25 pounds and aim for 18 reps. Because the truth is, your body just won't change if you turn up every week and do the same thing. This is why every program I give to my clients gives them exact targets on the exercise to do, how many sets, how many reps, and how much weight, and it progresses from week to week so that every week they're hitting PRs. And there's no reason why you can't do that either. So this habit is just to commit to 3 workouts a week. If you can't commit to 3, commit to 2, but make them progressive. Even starting with 30-minute workouts is enough if you've been doing nothing. And if you plan it correctly and you do progress, you will make progress, even in 2 workouts to 3 workouts for 30 minutes each. At home, without wasting time, going to the gym, parking, getting changed, having showers, blah. You can do it all from your home. It's really not that hard. You know, you can see I've got a dumbbell just here. I work out at home. And I'm clearly, not skinny fat anymore, okay? But I also hear from a lot of guys that they do work out a lot, they do cardio, they're very active, but they're still not losing weight. Well, there's a reason for that, which I'll explain. And every single diet that ever worked uses this same principle I'm about to explain. The key lies in a concept that is similar to managing our finances. Like in habit 3, I talked about sticking to a calorie budget. But even if you stacked all 5 of the previous habits together, unless you nail this last habit, there's a good chance your weight and body weight will just stay stuck forever. But if you do nail this next habit, which is pretty simple to do once I show you, you can control your body fat levels and how much muscle tone you want to maintain. So not only do we need to do at least 2 or 3 workouts a week, we also need to eat less than we burn, otherwise known as calorie deficit. And in this research review from the Journal of Obesity and Metabolic Syndrome, they reviewed 3 core components for weight management: the amount of food eaten, the type of food eaten, and the timing of the meals ate across all different kinds of popular diets like keto, the Mediterranean diet, carnivore, etc. There's a whole bunch of them in there, all the popular ones. And what they found as a result is that there was 2 crucial things. 1, an energy deficit is the most important factor to weight loss. And number 2, there is no single best diet for weight management. They all work if they put you in a calorie deficit. This is great news. This means we don't have to do any crazy strict fad diet, crash diet, stupid things that no one cares about and that you don't even want to do. None of us have to do this. We don't have to starve ourselves. We don't have to deprive ourselves, and we don't need to get stuck on this roller coaster of feasting and binging and all that crap. Because if we simply stick to a calorie deficit, our body has no choice but to lose body fat. It can't lose body fat any other way. Just quickly imagine that I put you on a private island and there's no food on the island. You cannot eat unless I give you the food, but I deliberately give you a lot less food than what you normally eat. How are you going to gain more body fat? You can't gain it from salt water. You can't gain it from oxygen. You're not going to eat the leaves and the sand and the sticks. So you have no choice but to lose it. I know it's a simple analogy and not practical in real life. Maybe Richard Branson on Necker Island. But ultimately, this is how fat loss works. We need to put ourselves into a deficit, which means we're burning here, but we're eating here. And this gap is what eats away at our body fat storage. But how do you even know if you're in a calorie deficit? Well, here's what worked best for me and my clients that I coach every week. Habit number 1, jumping on the scale and monitoring the weekly average, not the daily average. Don't get uptight and freak out if the scale goes up 1 or 2 pounds. That's normal. You want to look at the weekly average, track that, and then also use DEXA scans to reveal your actual body fat percentage and your muscle ratio. This is important because so often I see clients gaining more muscle, losing body fat, getting leaner, feeling better, dropping holes on their belt, needing to downsize their pants and throw away their bigger clothes, yet the scale has barely moved. And this is called body recomposition, where muscle's going up and fat is going down at the same time. This is what we want. And the best way to track that, like I said, wait, take photos often, at least once a month, compare those photos so you can see the physical changes in the same lighting, and get a DEXA scan every couple of months. That's all the data that you need, and you'll know if you're on track or if you're off track. So these 6 habits are absolutely essential. They've kept me ripped for like 7 years straight. It's everything that I teach my clients to do and hold them accountable to doing to achieve their ripped body. But no guy will get ripped unless they actually implement these habits in a way that they can sustain for a very long time. So if you don't have a plan or a program to do that, I got you covered. If you want to start shedding fat the sustainable way, building more muscle, dropping body fat, feeling amazing, and getting that ripped body with the habits to keep it, so that you can look in the mirror 3, 6, 12 months from now and be really proud of what you've achieved, great. I'll show you every practical tip that I have in one video that will help you implement and master these habits for years to come. And it's all covered in this video right here. Tap it now to watch it.